Everybody, Pioneer's very own DJ product demonstrator, first ever Red Bull 3-Style Live Remix champion, producer, composer, instructor, has a YouTube channel under his name, straight out of Des Moines, Iowa. Prion Joni, thank you for coming
What's
on.
up? Good seeing you.
Good seeing you again, man. It's been a little bit.
No, for sure. It's kind of things calming down where you live.
A little bit. I've been doing
Mm.
weddings and stuff. Like yesterday, I just got done like doing 2 weddings. It's pretty
Mhm.
interesting, man. Nobody's wearing masks over here. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I've been talking to some of the guys at Pioneer, and the ones in California haven't been able to work. The ones on the East Coast, they've been having social distance weddings, so it's
Mm.
really interesting. But also, I was just making sure everything is okay over there because, like, like your town's in the news a lot lately. So,
Yeah, with all the like the army people
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
gosh,
the
yeah,
feds. Yeah.
it's crazy down there. I try to avoid that at all costs.
No, for sure, for sure. Totally
Yeah,
understandable.
yeah. What about over there in Des Moines, Iowa?
As far as protesting, as far as like crazy protesting, like things going on as far as police violence happening against the protesters, it's kind of calmed down because ever since 4th of July, it just kind of dwindled, but it doesn't mean it's over. There's a lot of things that are unresolved and are still being brought up to discussion. So I think that's something that is still going to be in the works. So we don't know. Something could happen. Something could, or this could be how it is. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
Hmm.
especially with like school dances and stuff like that. Like I heard school will probably like wait until the fall of next year.
You guys are lucky. Our governor has made sure that school starts.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Right. So right now, the school districts are almost ordered to start. So like we're all scared because it's like our numbers are going up.
Mm,
So
yeah,
and they're sending kids back to school, and we're worried because these kids have parents, and parents are older.
right.
They have more underlying conditions.
Yeah,
So
tough, man.
it's concerning how things are happening right now.
2020 is a weird world right now.
Yeah, and there's always something weirder, like just like that's gonna one up whatever happened last week.
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
man. But
Mhm.
yeah, before we were talking about this, you were talking about your new MacBook. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, you made your newest video, I think, is
Hmm.
on your MacBook. Yeah, how do you like it so far?
The speed is incredible. The thermals, I'm not like I love how it can hang on during turbo boost.
Mm,
Uh, there's things that moving to a new computer is like moving to a new house. It's like you're always going to lose something. And as much as I want to try to retain as much as possible, and you have that anxiety where you're like, I want everything the same, just in a new body, it doesn't happen.
yeah,
What's awesome with the Mac is that 80 to 90% of it like you get to keep, because if you go from PC to Mac or Mac to PC, it's like all you get to keep are your files, which you don't
yeah,
keep your programs. Anything 32-bit, I no longer have like my plugins since that's what kind of frustrated me.
mm,
But that's to happen because I know they're doing away with 32-bit like they did with USB ports.
yeah.
So but overall, it's like I need to get myself to 32-bit, um because some of this software is just like holding a lot, like holding the software back. It's for better memory usage, but at the same time, it's just like I wish I could hang on to it. And it like I'm gonna have to learn new things as
Mm.
far as software. I'm not the type of guy who's gonna hang out to Scratch Live for like 6 years, which like I'm gonna try to make the new software work. And once you make it work, it's not, it's just you just gotta step over that boundary. So
Yeah, gotta get used to it. Yeah,
mhm.
yeah, no. One thing I like about it is the big trackpad. The thing I don't like about it is the USB ports. Like you have to buy an
Yeah.
extender. Oh man.
Yep. Yep. All the dongles.
Oh yeah, you have
I
that one
spent
too?
like $200 in accessories for my MacBook right when I got it. So.
Yeah, it's like right when you get your MacBook, you gotta buy all this other stuff with it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like a car. It's like, oh, I got to get my floor mats.
yeah, gotta get my floor mats, gotta get everything like that. But yeah, man. So how did you get into DJing and all your equipment, being a musician?
So I grew up in a musical household. My dad was a musician, keyboard player in a band, kind of typical Filipino story. Band member, well, band leader, and there was always keyboards in the house. Like he was one of the early adopters of MIDI, more for general MIDI back in the '80s. So I was always messing around with keyboards and such. And then I would come with him to trips to Guitar Center, and yeah, he was DJing for Filipino parties here and there, but just playing, Todo Todo and Cha Cha Slide, no mixing, nothing. But I got into it because when I was like 11 years old, I started hearing on the radio back in Detroit how, like, I was like, how do they play these nonstop mixes? It's just that all these songs are beat matched, and it was actually dance music that got me into mixing,
Hmm.
but it was scratching that got me into turntablism. So when like as I grew up, I got my pair of turntables. They were Geminis, and I started messing with scratching. So I was both into dance music mixing and hip hop scratching when I was a teenager. So that's how that started, and and being exposed to keyboards and MIDI and sequencing, I kind of had that head start where it's like I think I can make music as
Hmm.
well. And I think what got me into the CDJs was the fact that I can record my stuff. There, like it's expensive to press vinyl. I can record my stuff and play it, burn it on CD, and then play it when I have a gig. And that's kind of the motivation from going from turntable to CDJ. And I just kept um, keeping up with making music. I started on FL Studio because it was easy. Like I was really broke in like after high school, like during my college times and post my college times. So I had I didn't have money for gear, so everything I learned with making music was all on the computer. And once I switched to the Mac in 2011, I had to learn Ableton, and I started reintroducing everything with using gear with my setup. In fact, sometimes I can't even get myself to use production gear because I'm so used to doing it on the laptop that like I tend to neglect that I might have a synthesizer here or I might have a sampler here.
Yeah.
So it's like my music making is really based on software, and I have to kind of jump out of my comfort zone to introduce hardware into it. And later on, here's a story I'll tell you. I used to read the Roland magazine because my dad was a big Roland head, and there tricked myself into thinking back in the '90s that the way DJing was done was you had to have all this gear, not just two turntables and a mixer. Guys had like the MC303 in their setup, they had MPCs in their setup, and I thought that's what real DJing was. It was live remixing.
Hmm.
Only to find out that once I started gigging, I was like, no, it's just normally two turntables and a mixer, maybe CDJs there, because back then it was like the CDJ 1000 was just came out, so that was rare. And I tricked myself. This whole like using production with your mixing was the norm, and it's only it's been done since that time, but it was only till Ableton that people were doing it more regularly. Ableton and Tractor actually. So it's almost like technology caught up to what I thought DJing was supposed to be back then, and it wasn't like out of my mentality that bringing in a guitar while I play is weird.
Yeah.
So that's how the whole instrumentation came. It wasn't just, oh, let me just play. It was something that was like lingering in my head for like 20 years. So
To incorporate other instruments into your DJ sets as well.
no, for sure. Yeah, I can play keyboard. The first I used to do it with keyboard because I always had a keyboard, but when I bought a guitar because I stopped playing it when I was a teenager, I bought a guitar and I wanted to reintroduce doing live elements because one of the things about DJing is, or just mixing in a DJ booth is the fact that no one can see what you're doing sometimes. Sometimes there's a facade. No one can see all the tricks. Maybe only 20% of the club or the show can see it. And if you play keyboard, it's also tabletop, so no one can see that. It's like, how do I play something where I can get out there and interact with the crowd and have everyone really be engaged with it and be part of the show? And I figured guitar would be it, because at least I can walk up to people,
Mm,
like if I'm wireless, I could walk into the dance floor and then mess around, which I've done. And sometimes not a good idea because people can spill drinks on your instrument. So
yeah.
yeah.
There was this one time, right, where you,
Mm.
some guy or some girl dropped their drink on your controller.
Yeah, that's happened several times actually. So,
Oh, really?
but there was a time where it got real wet. The one of the college clubs I play at, the DJ booth is like here, and the VIP is here. So if anybody accidentally drops a drink, it's gonna be on you. So and that happens, and that's one of the reasons why I use an entry level controller, because I just bought a new one.
Yeah,
Like there was nothing wrong with it. I gave the old one to my brother, but it doesn't hurt to replace it.
yeah.
Like that's one of the reasons why I use an entry level controller. The other reason is because I like with my guitar gear, it takes a lot of footprint,
Mm,
so it's nice to keep everything small.
yeah,
So
definitely. And
mm,
I think I saw one video that you did. You got used to your controller, like the entry level areas without using um, turntablism in the actual turntable itself.
mhm.
Yeah.
That started with me messing with the CDJs. I used to I used to work at a Thai restaurant, I think 2005, 2006, and I used to run over to Guitar Center and mess with the CDJs. That's how I learned them. And then I worked at Guitar Center, and I was I was practicing then, and I didn't sell much, and that job lasted for 2 months. But you know what's funny? I to this day, I learned all the turntablism on CDJs, like scratching on digital jog wheels. But to this day, I still don't own a pair.
Wow.
And I work for Pioneer. I have gear here that I've been that has been loaned to me for study and for making content with, but I still to this day haven't owned like a brand new pair of CDJs, bought them, or they're in my ownership. So
Wow. But you know how to use them.
yeah, well, the funny part is I used to, my friends would buy them and they would need somebody to teach them. So I'm like, okay, I'll teach you if you just let me borrow, borrow the gear when I need it.
Yeah.
So
So
that's how that happened. In fact,
wow.
that happened all the way till I moved to Iowa. That's how my partnership with my friend Drew came. Was we were like, he was financing our crew, sending us off to gigs, and I would use the company gear, and that's how that's how we managed when I moved here. And then eventually it was like, he has a lot of gigs, I have a lot of gigs. It's time to get a controller, and that's how the controller came about.
Got it. Yeah, because all
Yeah.
the turntables and everything, CDJs, they're heavy, and
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
the controller's so compact and easy to carry around. It makes sense. Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I don't like, and it's not that I don't like using CDJs. I prefer them over the controller, but I have been. I'm not like superstar headliner where I can get whatever gear I want when I fly somewhere. Sometimes I have to deal with whatever's there, and sometimes what's there is either not the right CDJ, like it could be old, like old CDJ 1000, because I like to use HID mode, or there's something wrong with that CDJ, or it's disgustingly dirty. So, and especially right now, it's a good idea to be BYOG, bring your own gear. And my little SB3, despite all the gear that I have here, I can it's the entry level controller is the only one I can fly with. Toss in a suitcase, put my clothes on top of it, and then go off to a gig. I can use it as a backup, or I can use it as my main. And to be honest, I've used it as my main piece, like for a lot of gigs, just because it's so simple. You just got to get used to the jog wheels. That's all.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, did it take you a while to know all this equipment that you have right now and that you've learned?
I So it depends what equipment. Like the production gear, it's a learning curve for me.
Mm,
Like the TSP-16 from Pioneer, it's like I'm still learning that. The Squid is still something that I don't know how to use, and I'm trying to set some time so I can learn how to use that because I've never used a hardware sequencer before. But as far as like I think you would know this. Like a mixer is a mixer, whether it's on a controller, whether it's 4 channel. You just kind of you're looking for the similarities. And when it comes to the jog wheel, yeah, it feels different,
mm,
but mechanically in your head, you have to like be able to get over the fact that it's different. Like
mm,
that's why I can switch from tiny little 4 or 5 inch jog wheel to a full size CDJ or even jump to turntables. It's just, it's all mechanical memory. And part of the practice is just taking it to a gig and using it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
What types of gigs do you like doing? Like clubs, either hip
Mm.
hop or electronic music?
Hmm.
What's your preference?
I personally love the electronic music gigs because I can play the music that I like,
Mm,
and it doesn't feel as much pressure as the club gigs because the club gigs I feel are, especially open format gigs. Like I do them,
yeah,
it's not my favorite. I like this is how I put it. It's like open format is my day job. So the clubs that are open format, that's what pays the bills. But the I live for the electronic gigs and I try to pursue those. That's why I don't advertise that I can do open format, like you don't like once in a while I'll put out a mix that I do, but I try to focus on what I get booked, what I like to play.
yeah,
I know that it's one part of DJing is about, you have to please the crowd, you have to do what the crowd wants, and you have to know a lot of music. And I agree with that. On the other side, it's also there's a reason why I got into music, and it wasn't just to, play a lot of music I don't like.
mhm,
So it's like I also want to push. So there's these two sides that sometimes conflict with each other.
yeah,
And there's this art form you do where if if they give you enough freedom to do it, which a lot of places I work for do, it's taking people from the spoon feeding them with the stuff they know and taking them to where you want to go, because I think it's more flexible than a lot of people think, that you just have to play what people want.
mm,
And it's playing what they know is easy. Anybody can, well, like more or less anybody can do that, just a little bit of skill of putting it together. But taking them to a risky area and making them like it, that's where it's where the real challenge is.
yeah,
And I kind of live in this two worlds of the
yeah.
club and the producer electronic music artist. So
Right, right. Yeah, no, and it's a good feeling to know that you took that calculated risk and
mhm,
they're going with it, because that's what you want to push towards.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, definitely. There's a lot of hip hop clubs out there, and I know hip hop can be universal, but so can
Mhm.
EDM and electronic music. Like it's so upbeat
I,
and
I feel hip hop's more universal. I
they come.
think that you and this is I forgot who said it. I saw this quote online a long time ago. They're like, if you are in a hardcore hip hop club and drop Cascada, you might get booed. But
Uh,
if you're at a Tiesto concert and you drop Biggie, everyone's gonna go crazy.
that's true. That's
Yeah. So
true.
I think like even as an electronic music artist, I acknowledge that hip hop has a more has a more relatable aspect for all people. So, and I think part of it is a lot of hip hop fans don't like electronic music as much as electronic music fans actually do listen to hip hop, and I think that's what it is. So, and
Wow.
culture is involved with that. So,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Yeah. So I think I don't know if it was you that told me or if it was a video I watched before, but I remember one time that you um, don't consider yourself a DJ, but
Mhm.
you're involved in the DJ world.
No, for sure. And the reason is because like I have a lot of reasons with this, but to explain it, it's like when I acknowledge the title, it's like I think, okay, so Neil deGrasse Tyson once, the astrophysicist, he said once that it's like when you acknowledge that you're part of a certain title or just some type of description, you are also going to be carrying the baggage of how everyone sees and how the people of that group portray themselves. And there's a lot of times where people have said to me, they're like, what kind of DJ doesn't do this? What kind of DJ uses a controller? What kind of DJ spins on CDJs? But now it's more like what kind of for me today, my current thing is like what kind of DJ doesn't have that much music? Because I don't like I don't listen to a lot of music right now.
Yeah.
So and so my thing was, it's like if I'm always reminding myself that I'm a DJ, I might not think outside of the box of pulling elements out. So it's like if I'm in the mentality of this is what a DJ is supposed to do, then I might miss a chance of thinking, okay, maybe I can bring this element in. Oh wait, that's not what DJing is, and that's why I don't say I'm a DJ, because there's a lot of things about me that actually make me a terrible DJ. Like I said, like I don't when I play at open format clubs, I don't listen to most of that music. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So like there's times in my life where like I don't have a Spotify. There's times in my life where I don't know what's new, and I have to ask my female friends, "Hey, what's popping on TikTok?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's also like I admit that I can be title and artist ignorant, but at the same time I know how to ask like the right people. I'm always asking the girls, like my younger female friends. They know, because to them it's like what they dance to, like guys don't dance.
Oh,
Well, I'm not saying guys don't, but generally when you're at a club, you know that the girls come to dance first. So like you want them to dance, ask them.
mhm.
And like there's a lot of other things. It's like you just gotta, but it always revolves around the whole point that you just gotta think outside of the box, and it's just my self reminder. It's more for me than it is for anyone else. And also it when people have this expectation of what a DJ is, they're gonna be like, they already have their list of things of okay, like I don't do weddings, but they might ask you, do you do weddings? So when I say I'm not a DJ, they might be more like, okay, then what do you do? So I would rather put them in the mindset of, hey, check it out. What does he mean? Oh, maybe he is a DJ. Well, like, what's he talking about? He's on a controller or CDJs or turntables. Like, what's he talking about? But the fact that there's that it creates a curiosity is, like that's part of my self marketing. So
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's smart too, because DJing, you're right, is that one lane, and
Mm-hmm.
you as a musician, demonstrator, YouTube channel, you have all these lanes that you
Mm-hmm.
create and do other stuff with as well, along with music. Like I feel like you and
One time Qbert used to not call himself a DJ,
really,
which was even funnier because, like, okay, in the '90s he used to say that, from what I remember in the forums, and he might clarify on this if he sees this, but like I remember clearly that I think ISP didn't acknowledge themselves as DJs but as turntablists, but then it was also funny to people because it was like, okay, DJ Qbert, that's your name. So like there's time like there I think people sometimes want to just get outside of the like predisposed bubble of what like people think one thing is.
yeah, 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 that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, being a part of Pioneer as well, like you're able to, demonstrate the products that,
Hmm.
may not be specifically for DJing,
Yeah.
like beat making, all that kind of stuff. Like, is that
Hmm.
what you're into as well?
Okay, so I just said that I'm not that into a lot of music. Not saying that I'm not into music, but there's a what I also say is I'm more into the gear. I've
Mm,
always been a nerd for the gear. Like I always like taking the device, the CDJ, and figuring out 20 different ways to ruin it, but to use it that it wasn't originally intended to be made for. And that's kind of what made me valuable to a lot of my friends who bought CDJs. Was I was a nerd for that gear. And it's kind of weird because it was like when I started working for Hot Import Nights, I always had this thought in my head where I'm like, oh, one day I'm gonna buy some CDJs, and this was like 2016. This is pretty recently, or like 2015. Like I was like, one day I hope to dream to buy CDJs, and then I always have these little moments in my life where, okay, I'm gonna step back, I'm gonna stop nerding out on the DJ gear, and I'm gonna focus on making music, because simply just being a nerd on the DJ gear isn't getting me
Mm.
a set of the DJ gear that I want, you know?
Yeah.
And I like this, I had no intent. I just stopped, took a break for a year, and then out of nowhere, Hot Import Nights was like, hey, so we need to put together a program because we have this new sponsor,
Mm.
Pioneer DJ,
Yeah.
that kind of want a DJ battle to tour with our event. And right away, I took 2 days off from work, wrote a proposal, and then our first show, which was 2017. Yeah, 2017. No, 2018 of January. Our first show had Pioneer there. I was like, I better put on a show and I better give him one hell of a battle. So like 2 weeks, I was, you know how it is. Like when I'm looking for people to battle, it's like I'm trying to look for people in LA, cramming for like 2 weeks. And on top of that, I got there. Right when I landed on the plane, I had to go to Guitar Center, rent a guitar, which, mind you, renting an instrument, it's terrible. You're not. It feels different, you know.
Uh,
Rented an instrument, got to my hotel, and then realized I had the flu. Following day, with the flu, had to host a DJ battle and meet all the Pioneer people, and do my show with the guitar, and it worked out. So
yeah.
like, and then months. So here's what got me, I think, into Pioneer, and maybe they'll correct me on the story. We were working with them the whole time, the whole year with HIN, and there was a point where I lived in a condo and I had a burglary. They stole about $2,000 worth of equipment. My dad gave me his old CDJ 700s, not the one with the scratchable jog wheel. That disappeared. I had two JBLs speakers and two American Audio speakers that were lifted, and then my turntable coffin, which had nothing in it, was gone too.
Yeah.
And that burglary is also why we moved to this house. With that burglary happening, I had an insurance check that covered everything brand new. So after that, I went to the guys at Pioneer. I was like, hey, I had a burglary. You know, like I was interested in getting some speakers. So I got the Pioneer XPRS 15s and I decided to do a video review on that. And according to the guys at Pioneer, the marketing, one of the guys at marketing, he told me that he's like, I really like your review. Would you like to come work for us at DJ Expo in 2018? And that was my first trade show with Pioneer. And that's how that happened. So it started, what started off as a burglary became me buying new speakers and doing a review on it, which led to Pioneer. So my burglary led to me working for Pioneer. Well, you know, and HIN being sponsored. So it was a lot of things coming together. I would definitely say I feel really lucky and blessed because it was definitely a case of opportunity meets preparation without you being aware of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy that Hot Import Nights, you know, incorporated that DJ part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you were a perfect fit for that. And
I think it was challenging because, and I know you worked with us. You were our Portland champion twice, but getting people. This is what I see with DJ battles. It's like people will talk a big game to try to take another DJ's job, or a friend of theirs at a club, but those same people are like no show when it comes to doing a competition. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, all the time, man.
yeah.
I had a couple guys that incorporate some sort of techniques in their sets,
Yeah.
And they didn't show up, and I was kind of like, man, I really want. It makes it fun when there's competition.
Yeah, it does. And I think, I don't know what the fear is, because I think what it is because there's not a lot of DJ competitions out there, there's an expectation that everyone you're going to be going up against is going to be Red Bull 3 style level, you know?
Yeah,
And sometimes it's just, and I think it's fun to see some battles that aren't as
yeah,
super, like people that are extremely talented. Like I've had a guy who's a previous battle winner just took the show, took, gave us a good show.
yeah,
But seeing where people are just kind of, kind of there, like starting off and having them compete, that I think that's really cool to see, because
yeah,
I think it helps make them better,
yeah,
when they're competing. And I think the other part of it is like DJ battles, and like Carlo Antondino, I hope I don't mispronounce his name, and you probably know this. It
yeah,
doesn't guarantee you gigs,
yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, yeah,
It's kind of like, what's it called? A, a college degree. Many times you're required in the workforce, but it doesn't. But there's some degrees that don't guarantee you a job. And while it's what you do with your title, at least for me, it's like you take your title and you use it in the best way to try to find more work or try to find more outlets or network. But it's not an automatic tomorrow everyone's going to book you. Like end
yeah.
of the day, it's like you have to grow a fan base regardless. So
Right, right, right. You're
mm,
right. Like with your Red Bull 3 style live
mm.
championship, that's something big. But would you say you got a lot of gigs from it?
That's the thing. I don't think directly I got. Well, I did have one Red Bull event that I got, but that's only because my friend is a Red Bull rep. But they advertised me as the live remix winner.
Yeah.
The thing is like going back to the video that Carlo made, was he realized after he won Red Bull 3 style, he still wasn't getting gigs, and that's what made him start his YouTube channel.
Wow.
And the thing is, a DJ battle, like people only want to book, for the most part, as far as what's on the festival stage or flying people out. Either sometimes it's a favor, with open format places. Sometimes it is some name recognition, but a lot of times it's based on your fan base, because
Mhm.
it's like how many, like if you're a Red Bull 3 style artist, but you're not, nobody knows you in a town. It's like, if they
Mhm.
book you, you just become an expense.
Yeah.
Like they might have a good show, but only to the few people that care. But if, like, like most people don't keep up with that, like you're trying to fill a bar up with people and not just DJ. In fact, most DJs are working that night.
Mhm.
So it's like you have to grow your fan base. Part of how I do it, it's YouTube. The other part is making music, making remixes, being part of certain underground places. Now, don't get me wrong, some people are known purely for their turntablism, but the thing about that, and this is just the reality, I wish it wasn't the reality. The thing about turntablism and DJ battling is it seems to only appeal to the DJs. And like, unlike rock music where the shredders, the guitar players can be idolized by the non-guitar players, like some people are just into that music despite not playing guitar themselves. And I think that's kind of the difference, is that DJ battles and turntablism is kind of like a for DJs by DJs type of community. And I think there has to be a little bit of, well, I wish that there would be a little bit more interest from outside the DJ world, but
Yeah.
it is what it is, and people gravitate to the people that make songs. That's why EDM DJs are as big as they are, because they all make music, or they hire someone to make music and they license it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I never really thought of it that way of the rock concept, how people
Hmm.
can like it even not doing it, you know.
Hmm.
And you would think that DJing would equivalent to that thing. It doesn't.
I think part of it is because it's one or two things. One of two things. It either looks like it's too complicated and it goes over people's heads, or people think it's too easy where they think you're just pushing buttons or spinning records, you know?
Yeah.
and I and it doesn't help that 90% of the time the DJ booth is so covered that people can't see what you're doing. That's why I love putting a camera in the booth, you know? Like if
Yeah.
there's screens at the club, I'm going to put my GoPro right on the gear,
Yeah.
because I don't think people get what's going on. And it's part of it is too, it's like mixing music is just plainly mixing music and playing music is not that hard of a concept. Some people try to say it is. I don't think beat matching is that hard, you know?
Yeah.
I think teaching people how to beat match, I can tell that it's, for me, I find using the sync button harder because it requires
Yeah.
preparation.
Yeah.
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 So like to make it, it becomes a train wreck button if you don't know what you're doing. But I think I think just overall people, like when some DJs make it seem like, you know, their beat matching is hard, and then people discover that it doesn't look like it because you're not doing much, you're
Mhm.
just fading, maybe changing the EQ, then people think that your job is the, you know, I'm sure you get this, oh, you party for a living, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do for a living. You party, right? You play music and you enjoy yourself. It's like, no, it's not always like that. Sometimes we're dealing with the people partying a little too hard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Real stuff right there.
Mhm.
Um, you working with Pioneer and being a Red Bull, live remix champion.
Mhm.
Is that how you got together with SK83 and making his remix?
It was actually his contest.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he was the first one, from my understanding, to reach out to Red Bull, Three Style, and be like, hey, let's do something for more producer guys.
Mm.
And it was his song that we had to remix. And the contest winner gets to fly to Germany. And mind you, we had a hot import nights booked on that weekend that I went to Germany. It was KC, but they gave me their blessing. They're like, no, go, you know, because if I didn't go, they would have given it to someone else. They even told me that. So
No.
yeah, because they like, the hard part was booking the Berlin the Berlin Red Bull studio,
Mm.
because it's always busy. Just like when we were sitting in Studio A, it was like you see people coming in and out just using Studio B because Studio A was used. And even SK told me, he's like, usually I'm using Studio B because they don't let anybody, like usually they leave this for big artists.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's how I met SK, hung out in Berlin, and I it was such an amazing experience that I have this really bad habit of not absorbing it in the moment. I'm terrible at that, because now it's like, wow, I look back, I could have done more. And it's not so much regret. I'm aware of how I feel in the moment, but like during that moment I'm like trying to capture some footage, take pictures by the Berlin Wall, like thinking 20 different ways how one time I get to use a giant SSL board, like how we can do something. We got like 30. It's just information overload with everything you can do in that studio. So like in the moment, I wasn't, like I wasn't grasping it. So and I think that's just who I am. And then later on, I was like, wow, I wish I could do it again. And this is what we would have done. This is how I would have prepped. But that's not what it was for. It was supposed to be like me and SK meet for the first time, and we see how we vibe in the studio, and that's what that was. So
Yeah, and he played it in concert too. Uh,
yeah,
your partner.
I haven't even played that myself yet out live, because I play a different version. But yeah, I think so this is what you look for as a producer. A lot of times as a DJ, you're looking for that moment where people will sing your song back to you, people will like your song, or sometimes you feel like hesitant to play your song because you're not secure enough about it. That's a producer thing.
Mm.
And but one of the most satisfying and rewarding feelings is to watch somebody else play it for a
Mm.
bigger crowd than you have, you know, and
Yeah.
watch it rock. So,
Yeah.
and then have people that ask you about, like, wait, I didn't know you were the guitar part in that, like, so during that summer, that's what happened. And it's funny because that was the last thing we did, and that was when we were just goofing off at the studio at that point. I mean, what was the song? It was Old Town Road. It was a mashup he made with a song that he made, and he's like, can you add a guitar part just for fun? and then we were like, you saw the video. I was just jamming around, and then he edited it and then played it at a festival a couple times. And like I've seen more footage than what like I posted,
Mm.
but yeah, it was pretty cool. And I don't know if he still plays it to this day. So I'm I think I need to bring that out because I haven't played it live.
Yeah, that'd be
Um, yeah,
awesome. To
yeah.
have everybody rock out to what you made,
Mm.
that's a good feeling. But yeah, I really want to talk about like your equipment and
Mm-hmm.
how you make your videos because it's so crisp and clean um,
Mm-hmm.
on your YouTube. So like in your room right now, you probably have like a bunch of equipment, and what equipment comes with wires, you know,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
so clean with it. Like how do you keep your
They're not clean.
they're
If
not
I were to turn this around right now, which it's kind of hard to do because I have the interface on, wherever the camera is not looking, it's a spaghetti monster. I do zip tie them, but and the whole point, the reason why I don't try to over do the zip tying and make it perfectly neat is because it's going to change in about a day or two. When like if I have CDJs there, it's gonna probably be a controller tomorrow um or turntables the following day. You just never know. The reason why I got that table is because I need it to be height adjustable because controllers could be this
yeah,
tall and the turntables could be that tall. And the other thing is I try to make this room so that I can configure it when I'm doing lessons. Like I'm on the wall with the whiteboard in the back. When I'm live streaming, I want the studio in the back because it's more colorful. So I got this table that helps me bring that back and forth easier because it's height adjustable with wheels. And with all the gear, it's like, man, I wish you told me this sooner. I would have totally made this setup more portable. But
uh,
I have a guitar rack where all my controllers are like sitting like this when they're not used.
oh
and
really?
then and then above it is a table where all the unused DJ gear is. So right now I got the two turntables there. I got EFX 500 and a Korg pad control just sitting there. And then I have right now I was recording a lesson with the XDJ 1000 Mark IIs and the DJM 750. So that's on the DJ table. And then back here, like I could probably show you this. We have a Korg, not Korg, a Radical Technologies accelerator, and then my dad's old XB50 workstation keyboard. This is the first workstation back in the day, like the first keyboard workstation. Behind me is I have a studio desk. The brand's called Studio Desk. Actually, the owner of the company is really nice. I met him in Nam,
Mm.
and my speaker setup. I actually use really really inexpensive studio monitors, which is the ones from Monoprice,
Oh,
because they're supposedly identical to the M Audios for half the price. That's what I use as my pair. And then I also have three Monoprice speakers right in the middle, like right here. They're not connected. My plan is when I get a proper interface, because I don't have a big interface.
yeah.
When I get an interface that I like, I'm gonna set up two more of those speakers on the side, so I could do 5.1 surround. So when I'm doing music scoring,
Hmm.
I can do film scoring with the full surround setup.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing, man. Like, what's your what's your electric bill look like? Cause
Not bad, to be honest with you. The most of my electric bill is from our heat and air condition, and ever since we swapped well, actually we swapped both of them out, the the heat and the air conditioner, and we went from 150 a month to like the worst it got in the summer is 110. And
wow,
last year it was like 150. I think it hit 200, but I that tells me that it's not from this room, because to be honest with you, I don't hang out in this room that much. I write my music upstairs. I edit my video upstairs. I'm never down here. I'm usually on the couch or my other office, because like once again, like I said, like my trip was like information overload. Well, when you have ADHD, this room can be overwhelming. Like
Uh,
I take my projects down here when I'm recording a video, a lesson, or doing a live stream, or when I'm ready to mix or master a track, and I take it to the speakers. But usually I'm writing to my MacBook on my lap with
yeah,
either not even good headphones, just the Apple earpods and or the speakers on my MacBook.
man, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And like when you make videos too, you have to incorporate, camera placement, the
Hmm.
angles. Sometimes there's filters involved with it because not the right
Hmm.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you go around that?
So with the camera, I mean, for lessons, it's pretty straightforward. Have one above you, have one in front of you,
Mm,
one that's over the gear, and another that's in front of you, so you can talk to the people. I also do a screen record of Serato when that's necessary,
mhm,
and also I use the computer to record the main audio. So like to mount the camera above, the camera the time I started mounting a camera above me was when I started working for Digital DJ Tips because the lessons required it. And they were the ones to suggest the mount, which is just a projector mount with the screw hole for same one for the cameras, like the screw under the camera.
yeah.
And then the I tested it out with my sports cam, which is like a GoPro. It's a TI T5e. It it's not zoomed enough for me to be able to get the gear, and then they suggested for me to get a $600 camcorder, and I wanted to see if I could get away with a cheaper camcorder, and I bought one for $200. And those cheap camcorders have cameras on them that are no better than what's on a smartphone, maybe even worse. And
Uh,
then they just have digital zoom. So I eventually ended up with their suggestion of getting a Sony Handycam because it's long and you're going to be pointing it down. It kind of keeps itself balanced. And
yeah.
I ran a super long USB cable so that it could charge itself. And then there's also oh yeah, I recently added an HDMI cable so that if I need to use that camera on a live stream, I can include it in the setup.
Wow. Okay.
So and then like just no depending how many cameras you have, just have fun with like multiple angles. Sometimes like I just what I just described was just the front camera, which is my Canon, and the Sony Handycam, which is my overhead. But then I also have a sports cam, which is like a GoPro, and I like to put that as a close up on the gear sometimes when
Yeah.
I'm doing routines. So it just depends. I consider my live stream setup to be a little different from my recording setup
Uh,
because like my live stream setup, all cameras go to one little switch and I'm just picking which camera angle is visible. But when I'm recording, it's a whole different experience because you have to go to each camera one by one, hit record, hit record, and then make sure. And what sucks is when you forget one thing.
mm.
Like recently, I forgot to hit record on the portable recorder because I was recording off the CDJs, and I had to re-record my whole lesson. So,
Oh man.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could do it all on Wi-Fi, but even then, it's like iffy. It's like okay, I gotta sign on with my Wi-Fi to this, and I can't let my phone die because if my phone dies, the Wi-Fi closes and then signs back on. So it's like
Yeah.
you gotta pay attention to hitting record on everything.
Oh
And
man.
then there's little quirks about a few cameras. Like one camera doesn't tell you when it shuts off when it runs out of memory,
Yeah.
and then you're going on about your lesson, and and you have to re-record it because you ran out. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Do you ever have problems with lighting too? Because like we both have glasses,
Hmm.
and sometimes light reflects off of our lens and stuff.
Yeah. So like right now, I have a ring light that's right here, and if I
Oh, okay.
like, yeah, you can see it. I put it high enough. I mean, just put it from the side, and I think like the look from the side looks has a more cinematic look and looks it actually makes it look a little bit more professional when you're angled from 45 degrees, and it keeps the light away from any reflection points.
Okay.
And it's good to have more than one light source when you're doing that, because it's like if you can have one light here and then just have maybe a lamp, or just have the same light but dimmer from this side, just to give both sides some some light without being too harsh where there's a shadow on the other side from one light source while it's dark on this side of the room. So it's, you just have to play with the lighting. It's lighting. 90% of cinematography and photography is all lighting. It's not even the camera.
Mm.
Like every photographer and videographer will tell you that it's all in the lighting. You can make, like, for example, like, you can make a webcam look really, really good with the proper lighting.
Mm. Got
So yeah.
Okay. So, okay, say I was, like Pioneer, and
Hmm.
we came out with this new controller product, and we give it
Hmm.
to you to make a video. How
Okay.
long would you say that would take you to make a video, to test it out, to do everything?
Well, Pioneer doesn't. They don't necessarily give me, send me the gear and say make the video.
Uh,
It's more like, hey, can I? It's like, like, hey, can I see this product? And I might make like, it's possible I'm going to make content on it, and then it's more of a, it's more up to me. It depends what video it is. Like, if it's just a demonstration, that'll take me a couple hours to record, maybe no more than two, and then maybe another 2 to 5 hours to edit, mostly on two, closer to two. That's just a basic demonstration. Now, some videos are really committed, like the one where I did the 4 main ways to use a CDJ. That was a challenging video. I wouldn't say challenging, but it was a tedious video because you had to continuously, like, reconfigure the setup. So it was like, okay, this is how you use it. Now I got to change the setup, and you got to remember that all the camera's rolling. You're running out of time. So whenever a major change has to happen in the middle of your setup, it's like you got to be quick about it, and there's that pressure. I think another really challenging video I did was when I did a sound quality comparison between different DJ software. So that was like the hardest part about that was I had to do samples of scratching on each one, and I couldn't remember the pattern I did like 20 minutes before, from when, like, going from tractor to record box. I couldn't remember what patterns they were. How did I do these patterns? And I don't want to stop the video just to watch it, you know? So it's
yeah.
like you just got to keep going with it. So it can depend. And honestly, I make my videos more complicated than they need to be. But what started my videos with their virality was just one camera and me hitting record on the audio and just making sure they're in sync. Like, later on for the, for the controller or DJ gear audio. The I think that is people appreciate when something looks more, a little less professional, where it looks more like it's a real person showing you this. That's why sometimes I like just taking the DSLR and just selfie camming it,
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't have to be always as complicated as putting a overhead camera and making sure that's just what I do now because I like doing it. If I wasn't enjoying this, I would be miserable. And to be honest, sometimes I get frustrated when things get get
Yeah.
tedious, or when I forget something. But it doesn't always have to be so super complicated where you have, like, I always have this thing where I make things harder than they have to be. And it's not just with my camera setup, it's sometimes how I spin, just the fact that can't get over my 32-bit plugins on my new MacBook. But just so let me ask you, is it something that you're trying to get into?
Oh yeah. Like, I as a DJ, online DJ as well, like
Mm-hmm.
you like making videos in your room and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
lighting and quality of the videos is important.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, definitely, I've been wanting
Mm-hmm.
to get like a ring light and
Mm-hmm.
get more technical with my camera angles. Yeah,
For sure, for sure. Yeah. One of the what camera do you have right now?
I honestly have a GoPro 5 Black.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of DSLRs and mirrorless, there's stuff in the $400 to $500 range
Mhm.
that I wouldn't recommend to use out at gigs, but in a good lighting situation, like I said, it's not always in the camera. In a good lighting situation, those cameras can be amazing. One of the things that motivated me from my first live streams were all using webcam off my MacBook Air while I used the MacBook Pro to spin on. And a lot of people thought it looked amazing, but when I saw a few of my friends who were using DSLRs, I was like, dude, I want that quality. So during the first 2 months of the pandemic, capture cards were sold out everywhere. And once I think when did I get a capture card? I think in May. In May, I think I finally got a capture card, and I started using my DSLR, and it was like night and day. Just look, everything looks so crisp. So if you're recording with just the GoPro, it would be cool. I would recommend getting, like a mirrorless or a DSLR, Canon, Sony, Panasonic, somewhere in that range, unless you're ready to hop onto something really really good like an A7 III from Sony.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't delved too deep into the camera stuff, but yeah,
Mhm.
definitely I'll hit you up if I have any other questions about that stuff.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely with your, your videos it comes with your talking and explaining the product.
Hmm. Yeah.
You tend to get rid of the ums and the when
Oh,
you
that takes practice. My early videos, they're all over the place. That took me practice. Even right now, it takes me a little bit of practice. And to be honest with you, when I'm talking live on a camera, like right now, I don't stutter as much. I do take a couple pauses. For some reason, when it's recording, it's uh I stop. I think of a better way to say it. I stop and I re-record. My entire recordings of videos, and mind you, my 8 terabyte hard drive is probably 60% dead space, and maybe 20% uh takes that I'm not using.
Mm,
So a lot of times my videos are that's why I cut edit a lot. Now, something I learned from digital DJ tips, try to finish your entire sentence before a cut edit. So it's not like, hi, my name is Prion Joni. Check out my XDJ 1000 Mark II. Like you don't want to be cutting within the sentence. So that's something that Steve from Digital DJ Tips taught me to do, because he's like, there's nothing wrong with cut edits, but try to do full sentences, or at least the full first part of a sentence before cut editing, so it doesn't seem so jittery.
got
A little trick he showed me with cut editing is, if you want to make it look less vloggy,
uh-huh.
do a zoom for the, as like alternate zooming it. So it's like, if I do a cut edit now, the
Mhm.
next cut's going to be closer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks more professional that way.
Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of adds a little bit more continuity, so it doesn't look like you just jump from here and then now you're looking this way. And there's a little bit of that, but it helps. If you do have multiple cameras, I don't do this for my lessons because it's just a lot of footage, but you could always set up a camera from a different angle and
Mm.
then bring it all in. I don't know if you do you edit on Premiere?
I edit on Final Cut Pro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Final Cut has this, but on Premiere, and I use this for everything.
Mm.
There's a feature where it can take multiple cameras and then sync them all together, including your audio. So if you record your audio, it can hear the camera mic of your DJ gear and then sync them in. I'm
Wow.
super. It saves me maybe like 2 hours of every video because I don't have to manually sync it myself. And what's easy about it, once you have it synced, you can open up a new sequence and then use the numerical keys to switch which camera angle. I can press 1, 2, I can cut. I want to go back to 1, cut, go back to 2, which is the overhead. So I can alternate it using Premiere. I love it. I'll send you the video if it's something that you're interested in.
Yeah,
If you're ever looking into Premiere.
I would love that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Final Cut is good for for certain things, and
Mhm.
I don't know exactly if it does that, but that would be awesome if you can do that.
No, for sure. I think my understanding was the entire like I could be wrong because I didn't. This was a while ago, but the movie The Social Network was
Mm.
supposedly cut on Final Cut.
Wow.
Yeah, we may need to look that up, but
Yeah,
that's what I was reading all like way back when that yeah, the Facebook movie was done on on
that's
Final Cut.
amazing. Oh my
Well,
God.
there's some production that's done on Premiere, but then there's also the Hollywood industry software that we can't really get a hold of that they
Ye-
also use. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah.
all other stuff that it's out of my world. But yeah, did Pioneer get you into NAM as well?
Yeah. NAM is the biggest show of the year and I'm glad I did Expo first because NAM is way more overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like NAM moves by fast and as crazy as NAM is, it's like your body takes a toll. I had this past NAM, I was supposed to fly to Dallas for a gig, and I was like, you know
Mm.
what? This isn't a smart idea. I just did NAM for a week, and then I'm gonna fly to Dallas right after I come home. No, I can't do it. Which I kind of partially regret because then lockdown happened like a month later, you know. So I
Oh,
never got to go to play at my friend's club in Dallas.
oh
And the thing is, NAM is so incredibly big. It's like
man.
like going from where the DJ gear is all the way to where one level of guitars is. It's like you could walk for 2 miles going back and forth to NAM.
It's a
When
lot.
you think that the main floor is already big enough, there's also the second floor and the third floor, and then you got the stadium, and then you got the new building all the way over there, and then you got the what's it called? You got the showcases inside the hotels, the two hotels, the Hilton and the Marriott.
Yeah.
So it's just there's there's no it's hard to work there
Mm.
and try to see everything. There's no way you can do that. And it's smart if you are working there to actually make a plan if
Mm.
you want to see something. Like my white guitar, I saw my white EVH Wolfgang. I was wondering if EVH created a white version because they discontinued the cheaper white version and I wanted a white guitar. I looked it up where EVH was and I planned it out. I'm like, okay, if I get lunch here, I don't have to stand in line. I can quickly eat, run to the guitar, try it out, and be back and not be late when my lunch is over. So there's a lot of like you gotta be quick with your moves when you work there. That was my first year. The second year I didn't even look anywhere. I was like, nah, I can't have my feet hurting because
Yeah.
we were all given ultra boosts
Yeah.
for as part of our uniform, but I didn't break mine in, so it hurt the whole time.
Mm. Oh
Yeah,
man.
and and of course it's gonna hurt. You're carrying gear, you're walking fast, and I'm old, so I'm 37. It's not like when I was a b-boy where it's like my body doesn't hurt from anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man.
Yeah.
So working at NAM, like what does that
Mhm.
consist of? Like putting up your equipment, doing a set or
Oh no, you're not necessarily doing a set. Well, you can be asked to do a set. I
Mhm.
will. I wasn't. Well, they told me they were considering it. I was. I was a little partially relieved I didn't have to do a set because, like I said, NAM is tiring.
Yeah.
Because I was a wreck at Expo when I did Expo.
Mm.
Um, and what I mean is I was scared. I was scared to go up.
Yeah.
But at NAM, it's mostly we set it up. We basically we communicate with people about the gear, and that's mostly what it is. We're taking care of the booth. We're cleaning up, getting it ready for the next show, making sure none of the gear grows legs because we got iPads and laptops out there too.
Hmm.
So just making sure nobody's getting too loud in a station because you do have like decibel regulations at NAM because if one person gets too loud, then everybody gets loud, and then the people that are quiet can't be heard.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, these trade shows bring headphones. I mean, not headphones. Bring earplugs
Mm.
because it the how loud it gets is like dangerous for your ear health, you know.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
Okay, that's cool.
you get to meet a lot of cool people though, working the NAM booth. And I felt bad with this. I didn't recognize Yella, DJ Yella. He was like
Oh,
nobody recognized him. He was just standing around. And then DJ Flip comes up to me. He's like, "You know who that was?" I was like, after he walked away, I was like, "Wait, Yella?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." He came back. That's when I took a picture with him.
okay.
Uh, that was this past NAM last year when I was my first time. I was the biggest groupie ever. We had, you know, Z Trips comes in the booth, had to say hi to him. 8-Track forgot his needle, so I held onto him so I could give it back for a picture, you know.
Yeah.
And like I know it's funny sometimes, like like who was it? Um, some some people will come up to you and be
Uh-huh.
like, can I take a picture with you? And then 10 minutes later, you'll be asking that person, like, hey, you want to take a picture with Z Trip? Let's take a picture with Z Trip. You know, like I'm not used to being the guy they know on YouTube. I'm used to still being the fan.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you know, like I was just myself, just doing that at NAM. Didn't pretend like I wasn't admiring the people that I grew up to, you know.
Yeah.
So, and
Wow.
then we went to see Kubert last year, 2019. We went to go see him at what was it called? Dave and Buster's. The guys took me there because I never got to meet him because he every time he came in the booth I was gone, and we kept trying to time it so I could take a picture with him. So
Did you
yeah.
ever get the chance to scratch it up with him?
No, I got shy when he was in our little octagon because we
Ah.
basically recreated his octagon with Pioneer gear, with Pioneer furniture.
Oh.
So furniture, I mean our desks. So like he was excited last year when he saw the octagon. It's like, oh, you guys got an octagon, you know? So,
Man, but you didn't get to do it. That's
oh
all right.
man, I would have loved to, but
All right.
no, we could have done it at his show because after his show, it was like, hey, all the DJs that can scratch, go take turns. We got left hand, we got right hand. I was like, okay, time to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's like I, there's some things that I still like. I feel, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little insecure about my scratching
Mm,
amongst legends, you know. Like I can't open fader scratch as good as that, like, other than the boomerang. I can
yeah.
barely open fader unless I'm in hamster.
Uh,
And like I still feel like like it's always a reminder to myself. I'm like, wow, these guys are really really good, and I got a lot to work towards,
uh,
and I got a lot to practice for because like I'm nowhere near their level. And I'm always reminding myself that because I don't like how people act when they're too overconfident, and I because I don't like that quality. I tried to always remind myself that there's always room to grow. You know, like
mm,
it's not to say, oh, I don't think I have anything to offer, but it's more of, remember, there's always someone better than you,
mm.
that to always keep your ego in check. And that's kind of why I was like, nah, I'm good, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no,
Mm.
it was a really an honor for last year. Like one of my most memorable moments was being able to scratch with you during that
Oh, I
competition.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no,
Hey, I was just we were just jamming. That's how I saw it. So
yeah, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, just for that, few seconds, few moments, I was like, man, I'm scratching with Pre on Joni right now. This is amazing.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
but your cuts are pretty tight, man. Like I barely practice now except when brought in the boomerang. I think that's the first scratch I did and like learned in 20 years. So
Yeah, yeah. It's the most recent one you've learned too, right?
yeah, all the way, like I think my arthritis started to show
Oh,
with practicing for 19 days. So it hurt my arm, like every like not my arm but my wrist. So sometimes when I wake up in the morning, it hurts here. And I haven't really been doing rigorous exercises with the boomerang,
yeah.
but I have to be careful because now this is something that I don't think a lot of DJs speak about, but like if you ever been around Qbert, he's very careful with his hands.
Huh.
He doesn't high five people, you know, he gives them the
Oh,
fist bump.
yeah.
Um, which, you know, part of it, it's also, you know, like it's good it's good practice, especially right now, not to be you know, shaking hands.
Right.
But you're gonna come across a time where it's like, you know, like as your body ages, you're gonna start noticing little things that you can't do, and you just gotta be like, right now I can easily ignore it. It's like, oh, it's just pain, but it's gonna get worse over time, you know. So
Yeah.
it's just, I'm not the poster boy for good exercise, but I think eating right and just being on top of your health is important, because you can lose your mind can be on it, but you can lose your physical ability to do things as you get older. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm losing anything, but I know that I'm like, it's gonna hurt to scratch one day, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm not looking forward to that day.
Like today, I can't. I know I can't try a breakdance move because of how my wrists are now.
Oh man.
But like that, if there's any physical things that I can't do anymore, that would be it. But as far as with the gear, right now I could push through the pain, and then I'm also responsible with it. Like when it starts to really hurt, I kind of like back off, give it a couple day breaks, maybe a week
Hmm.
away from it, because it's playing guitar, so it's like you're battered from it all.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Man. Yeah. No, I believe it.
Mm.
And especially it's in your left hand.
Yeah, sometimes my right hand too. Like the scratching hand can it can hurt when you're playing on something with more resistance. Like for example, my hand hurts a little bit more when I'm on a CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much on turntable, because the turntable's so big that there's a little bit more elbow than wrist, you know?
Yeah.
So jog wheels, there's more wrist involved.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
just gotta be careful, like with your hands. You don't want to overexert. Like sometimes, like some people say, you just gotta push through the pain and do it, but it's not. It, you know, like it's not weight training. You know, it's
Mm.
dexterity that you're doing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for you, man? What's your goals in your career?
So like right now, I really enjoy my job as a demonstrator. Like I've had talks with my friends who are in the industry. It's like, don't you see yourself like touring and being in a festival? And then yeah, it's still part of my dream to, you know, grow a big enough fan base and to be booked for the music that I make.
Yeah.
But if I were, I'm not saying that this is the alternate route. This is part of the route. If I were to never do that, and I were to just be demonstrating for Pioneer and consulting for products, I would like I would not feel like my life was incomplete. I like, because I love what I do,
Mm.
and if that's the path that I'm going, then that's cool. I like teaching now. That's because of digital DJ tips. I improved my teaching skills. Like I before, I used to struggle trying to explain things on video. That's why they're like, you know, cut edits were like mid sentence. But I I have this idea where after the pandemic ceases, you know, like, not to bring up any politics or controversial issues on on this interview, but
Okay.
being a BLM supporter myself, something I wanted to do with after the pandemic, like, you know, once like no one's getting sick anymore and we can be out in public,
Hmm.
I want to start a program where I can show up at schools, maybe with a crew of volunteers or other DJs, and do a workshop of DJing. I've done a few already,
Hmm.
but I want to do it where like I can, especially for schools where kids are from low income households. I think those are the most important, because they don't have mom and dad to, you know, like buy DJ gear for them. Not even like, you know, like a $250 controller, or maybe they're not aware about the lower price controllers. You know,
Mhm.
like we have Pioneer, we have a controller that's $150 that works with your phone. You know, that's less than the pair of Ultra Boosts some of these kids are wearing these days. You know, so
Yeah.
like I want to do these workshops, and I want to uh create them, like kind of give them a mini trade show environment where it's not just me with the DJ gear, but have maybe like 6 or 8 stations around the room with like small studio monitors so that they can try it out. Like just basically an like a youth outreach with music and DJing and maybe production. So I think that's something. And you know, like funding for schools keep diminishing, so paying for something like that is going to be hard. So I want to try to create a program where I'm going to volunteer my time to do it.
Uh-huh.
Get some companies involved. Can't say who, but you probably have a guess. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
man. Well, shoot,
Mm.
I would definitely up and support that. That's amazing.
No,
Yeah.
for sure. And if it's something that you actually would want to do in your area, once I get it going, or if you seen somebody do it and they have some cool ideas, because right now I'm just collecting ideas from people who've done something similar. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
like little things like, hey, it's going to be loud, so make sure that you know you're maybe in the band room or something at
Mhm.
at at a high school or middle school, or maybe you're at an event. Do it at a bar that has a or a venue that just has an open room that you can get loud in. That's one of the concerns there.
Right.
So like it's something I definitely want to do once pandemic is over, and I wouldn't say when protests are done,
Hmm.
but when the climate for it kind of comes down and we can get on other activities that will, you know, help a lot of low income kids. So
Yeah, definitely. That's a great thing you're doing and what you're thinking about for sure. Well,
yeah, I haven't posted too much. I think I made a post just asking about it, but I didn't want to put it out there and not have something ready when people are ready to have you. You know, like what if a teacher sees it and goes like, "Hey, can you do it next week?" I'm like, "Oh man, I'm not. I don't. You know." Well,
yeah,
I would hope nobody asked me to do it next week because like we're still mid pandemic. But yeah.
yeah. Okay. Well, shoot, man. Well, that's it. That's all the questions I have. Thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, no problem, man. I like really appreciate you for bringing me on. I know I probably babbled off for like an hour and a half.
Oh, no, that's what makes it awesome, though. It's like
Yeah,
you're so passionate in what you're doing. It's good to see. But yeah, thank you for
sure.
doing this, man. I really look up to you. And yeah,
No, I appreciate it, man. And like you, it was awesome that you got to win the the battle twice.
yeah, yeah.
And here's the thing: I wish we could do it again, but we're not. Pioneer doesn't sponsor HIN anymore, so we're not doing the DJ battle anymore.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Oh,
yeah.
well, I'm glad to be a part of that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So you got to be part of it those 2 years. You're the only person who won it twice. So
Okay.
you're not. Yeah, you're not the first person to do it again, but you were the first person to win it twice. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Okay. I'm taking that. I'm taking that to my grave. That's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
But well, let me ask you. Have you been involved with other competitions?
Yes. DMC and
Mm.
uh,
DMC online or actual DMC or the?
actual
Okay.
DMC.
Hmm.
And I think I did one more. It was for an actual company that
Hmm.
it's called Whiten and Kennedy. They
Okay.
they have this DJ battle last year. I didn't win it, but it was a great experience. Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. Was it so? Is this in Portland or is
Yeah.
this? Oh, that's
Um,
good.
so the DMC was in LA, but this
Okay.
company one was in Portland.
With DMC, you have to use either a 1200 or a Rain 12, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty strict with those rules.
Oh
It has
yeah,
to be,
yeah.
yeah.
So because I
Is
am
it any mixer or has it to be a Rain mixer?
it has to be a rain. Has
Okay,
to be a rain. So
strictly Rain.
I had a trouble transitioning because I have a Pioneer
Yeah.
9. So
Mhm.
I didn't do well, but
Mhm.
at least I got to say I did it.
Yeah, for sure.
Are
I
you doing any?
I was um I was interested in trying. I forgot what the name. I'm having a brain fart, but I wanted to do something with 8 tracks competition because it's the only other competition that has a little hint that you can bring in other gear. Because where I do well is
Mhm.
when it says use whatever gear you want, or you can add different elements as long as you have this much DJ gear in it.
Mm.
That's where I do well. And strict, like I would never try DMC only because creatively I don't even think that's my thing. Like I
Oh,
like watching it, but like it's like
yeah.
just turntablism alone by itself. I know I'm not good enough for that, and two, it's I don't think I'm passionate enough for just to focus on only that for that competition. So I forgot what 8 tracks competition is called.
It's called Goldie Awards.
Yeah, the Goldie
Yeah.
Awards.
Gold.
Yeah, because I know he has the beat battle and then he has the DJ battle, and I think the DJ battle has a specific either a category or a specific rule that allows you to use
And
instruments in your setup.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Like Beck did it. Uh, I think DJ Yuko added a beat pad with it. And
yeah.
so yeah, I would love to see you on there with your guitar and other instruments.
Let me tell you this. When I was talking to SK, I was picking his brain about three style, and I'm like, hey, I don't know if it's part of the rules if I can use my guitar, because the reason why I found out about the live remix competition was because I was trying to look for information for the next three style event.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't care what the rules say. He's like, bring your guitar. It's not clear. Don't it's better to apologize
Uh,
uh than to ask permission. So
yeah.
like he was the one that gave me the idea. Now I didn't get in three style. And the thing about that three style competition today that's different from before, they don't do regionals. It's like straight to nationals, you know?
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like I don't know if it's because there's less competitors or it's just that's just how it is because before it's like just for sending in an entry, you get a case of Red Bull and a hat, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Now it's like you got to be picked from 6 in your country.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the crazy part is like six DJs from the whole country. And
Yeah,
yeah.
and
And
no, but you know what? I was so glad that Lazy Boy won it, and I got to meet him at Nam. He's a super talented dude.
oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
He's amazing. And I'm sure that there's like, connections too that you have to have with Red Bull about that with the three style that to get in. Um
um,
that's what I've heard.
well, like I know that it's not completely based on it, but like not all the people that win personally know the judges, you know.
Yeah, true, true.
So
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
now sometimes it's like you are kind of playing for the judges.
Hmm.
Like I know they say don't just play for the judges, play for the crowd, but then when you look at the percentage of how much they take in, it's mostly the judges.
Most of these judges, yeah.
So if you have a whole panel of judges that are hip hop heads, it doesn't matter if you're James Abilia. You could do turntablism all day long, but if it's all to techno, you know, you're
Yeah.
not. You still gotta keep in mind the tastes
Yeah.
of the DJ. I know they say be original, and yeah, being original will always override have to override it. Like, and that's the bigger point here is you got to be so impressive that it doesn't that you can play whatever to whoever, and it's gonna click in their head. This guy deserves to win. At least that's how I understand it. But like, I'm an observer at this point for the main three style competition. I've never been able to compete yet. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You've done other DJ battles before, right? And won.
I have only done one DJ competition, which was a very small one, and it was just to win a place to open for Afrojack. And I
Mm.
ended up not opening it for him because he had an opener. But then the promoters, which was Sound in Motion in Minneapolis, were like, pick a show, we'll have you open. And I wish I picked Armin because I'm a big trance guy. I wish I picked Armin Van Buren to open for, but because it was convenient, I picked Dada Life because I was on a tour, mini weekend tour between Nebraska and South Dakota, and I could hop onto Minneapolis to do the last leg of the show. So
Oh
that
man.
that was a competition I did, and I used a video that I had already made that I just threw out there. I'm like, oh, I already have a video going. Let's see if this will work, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, shoot. Anyways,
Yeah. Sorry to
thank-
take your time. I start babbling off about
oh,
other stuff.
it's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, I thank you for having doing this with me, man. And
No
you know what?
problem.
Everybody that's watching right now, please follow Prion Joni on everything under his name, I believe, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, everything.
Mm,
Um,
appreciate it.
you're a great guy, man, and
And don't forget to follow this guy.
oh, I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, everybody that's watching is already in my thing. So
Well,
anyway,
to my followers watching this right now, follow this guy. Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to call you a friend, and I'm proud to be a part of the spin-off thing with you, and
For sure, man.
it got a chance for me to be with you and
Mhm.
in through that. So yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you in the future, and much
For
success.
sure. Hopefully we get to work again in whatever
Yeah,
project it is.
yeah,
And
whatever it is.
like I love Portland, so I plan
Yeah,
on
yeah.
heading over there again. So
Yeah, if there's anything down there, I'll definitely hit you up, and we'll
for
see
sure, please do. Yeah.
that in your schedule. So, yeah, man, thank you.
Cool. Thanks so much, man.
Of course, stay safe. Have a good rest of your day, and
You
I'll talk
too.
to you later.
Yep.
Peace.
Later.